We're going to walk through the anatomy of the planet board. Our example is Leviathan, the water world. There are a few elements that kind of play together to build the function of the board. First is the planet deck slot. That's where the planet's cards go. After they're played, the discards will go here in the discard slot. Once all of the cards are gone, you just reshuffle and kind of start again until the game is concluded by people tokens. Around the corners of the board, you have atmosphere dock slots, and planet cards are played to specific slots in order to build these constant effects that change the course of gameplay. This one says on it that it docks to atmosphere slot 1. It has an effect that it takes, and it gets 10 hit points. So we'll place 10 hit points on this card. From there, because it has hit points, it can be damaged, and once it's out, it's discarded, and then no longer takes effect. The last element of the board are the surface spaces, and you can have different numbers depending on the size of the planet. Leviathan's pretty large at 8 surface spaces, and they're abbreviated with an S and then the number. So here we have S1, which is surface space 1. This is surface space 8. When you add people or land people, you either are directed to or you need to pick a specific surface space. When the total number of people tokens on all of the surface spaces equals 75, you have won the game. Meet the Interpol Vengeance ship mat. I want to walk through some of the important elements or anatomy of the card very quickly. First, across the top of the card, you'll see a slot that says ship deck. That's where your ship-specific deck of cards will go. There's a little bit of space at the top here where you can place your discards after your cards have been played. There's also an indicator on how many people you're going to start with, and a little spot to put those people tokens, which come in denominations of 1, 5, and 10, and are conveniently color-coded. The last important element are the ship dock slots across the bottom, where you'll play cards like this one with the little pink ship icon in the upper right-hand corner. That's the anatomy of the ship mat. Next, we'll move on to cards. Here we're looking at a few card examples from various different decks. I wanted to point out the kind of functions of the card, how they're similar between the orbit, the planet, and the ship decks, and also go through the 5 symbols that you will find on the corners of those cards. Here we've got an orbit deck, a planet deck, and one example from the Interpol Vengeance. And if you notice, each of them has a different symbol in the upper right-hand corner. These are the 3 options, and they basically, for the upper right-hand corner, it basically just tells you where they're played, or what happens after they're played. The first option, we'll start over here, the first option is the little pink ship, and that means that this card is docked into one of the ship docks on your ship mat. The second option is the little cloud with a yellow arrow in it, and that means that it's docked into an atmosphere dock slot, which are the 4 corners of the board. The other option is a little lightning bolt, and that means that after this card is played, it's discarded in the appropriate stack. The other symbol, which you'll only see in the player ships, is the upper left-hand corner, and it's either going to be a little green play icon, which means it's played on your turn, so you need to focus on it when it's your turn, or the reaction, which is the little red exclamation mark, and that means that you can play it kind of offsides while it's not your turn. And they function very much like that. So if it's your turn, you can ignore the reaction cards because they never make sense to play. But while it's not your turn, that's when you need to be focusing on those. So those are the 5 symbols. The other important element of the card that you actually do need to read and get familiar with is the text. And this is where most of the complexity in the game actually comes in, and the strategy. This one, for instance, says, add 3 people to a surface space and discard. So it's what the card actually does. At the bottom, there's some flavored text, and you can get a sense of the personality of the ships, even the personality of the planet. From reading those, it's just kind of for fun. But you know, if you prefer, you can play just fine ignoring that. So those are the symbols in the anatomy of the play cards. Those are the only examples that you'll see. It doesn't get any more complicated than that, and I hope you have a great time playing Last Starfleet.